In school, one of the things that you'll inevitably hear throughout your English classes is your teachers going on about themes. They'll give you a bunch of nonsense about how everything means something. The curtains were blue because blue's a sad colour and the author was depressed while writing, and other made-up sounding stuff. Now, this could of course be true, but it's more likely than not that the writer or réalisateur, it's more likely than not that the writer just needed a colour and they happened to see like a blue car or something while writing in Starbucks, and they chose blue for the curtains. But your teachers also aren't technically wrong. You can find themes in anything if you look for them, sort of like Nargles and all the other things you'll find Luna talking about in Harry Potter. But if you explain how you see it well enough, then it kind of exists if other people can understand why you think that is. We'll get into this later on, but first let's explain what themes are. Themes are the underlying hidden messages in a book or movie. They generally give deeper meaning and insight into the human condition and the world. Themes are not explicit. They're deeper than that. Knowing that the story you're reading or watching is a love story isn't telling you the theme. Themes are not genres. Themes are like a perfume. They should be discovered, not announced. That's a real problem in France where I live. Themes are the heart and soul of a story. They're the deeper messages of the story, the part of the book that makes reading enjoyable. Themes are there to challenge the reader and the world that you, the reader or watcher, live in. The most common themes tend to be coming of age, fate versus free will, good versus evil, hubris, justice, man versus nature, corruption and revenge, and a couple of others, but we'll get into that, maybe, in another video. Let me know what you think about that later. Or in the comments now. You've got free time, do what you want. So, now that you've got a general idea of what themes are, how do you find them? Well, the first step to finding a theme in a book is to engage with the book. You need to immerse yourself in the story, the characters, and events. Try to think about what motivates a character. Take notes, highlight important passages, and be open-minded. Let the story unfold before you, and take in what's going on. Step 2. Identify reoccurring themes and motives. The second step is to identify the reoccurring themes and motives in a book. As you read a novel or watch a movie, you'll see patterns, symbols, or repeated concepts. Like before, take note of these things and try to find a common link between them. In the novel 1984 by George Orwell, the narrator constantly describes different types of surveillance. Video cameras, microphones, even nosy neighbours. Everything on the continent of Oceania is designed to watch its inhabitants, showing that some of the themes in the book are probably oppression and control. They're being controlled by the government. If they're constantly being watched, they're going to be more careful about what they do, what they say, and who they interact with. And thus, they're being oppressed. Step 3! Step 3 is to see how the characters develop over the course of the book or film. Characters are the windows into the story, and by observing and noting how they grow and respond to challenges, you can identify some more themes. In the novel that is the bane of existence to all American high school students, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, the protagonist Holden Caulfield struggles with alienation as he travels throughout New York after being expelled from school. And he starts to lose his childhood innocence as he's disillusioned by the changing adult world around him. By analysing how Holden grows throughout the book, you can find themes of loss of childhood innocence and alienation. And if you read this book, or have to read any other books like The Grapes of Wrath, The Great Gatsby, or any book pretty much that you've got to read in high school, I have a separate channel called The Essential Reads. It's also in podcast format, please listen. and it will be linked below. I'll have the link to the channel and the subscription platforms where you can watch it. But I've narrated all these books for you because I understand that reading when you're in high school, you've got so many other things going on. The last thing that you have time for is to sit down and read a book for a couple of hours and then take notes and all those things. So if you want to listen to the audiobooks while cooking, while doing sport, doing anything other than reading, I've got you covered. And hopefully you'll be able to pass your exams thanks to me. That would be cool. If someone out there has passed an exam because they listened to my audiobooks, please let me know. That's awesome. Anyway, step 4. Examining conflicts and resolutions. Even if there isn't a huge fight in the book or movie, there'll always be a conflict of some sort. Conflicts tend to drive a narrative forwards and provide great insights into the themes. Pay attention to both the internal and external conflicts. In the Hunger Games series, and you'll probably notice I'm going through the same books as I am doing this, a lot of the books I had to read in school, we had to read the Hunger Games, which was cool, but kind of not what I was hoping for. I was hoping more like Animal Farm 1984, the classic books. But it's a real good book. I understand why they made 4 movies? Good book. In the Hunger Games series, Katniss realizes that the Hunger Games themselves, that are idolized across the country of Panem, America, is just a bloodbath. They're used to keep the population from realizing that they're being oppressed by the capital. This allows the reader to identify themes of oppression, struggle for justice, and, in the games themselves, loss of innocence. Katniss is like 15 or something in the first Hunger Games. She loses her childhood innocence. Day 1. Even earlier. Step 5. Analyzing style and techniques. You want to dive into the author or director's style and techniques. Consider the literary devices, the cinematography, and narrative choices. Let's take a look at the movie Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. I'm not going to give you spoilers because I love the film and I highly recommend that you watch it, but the movie's told in a non-linear way and uses memories as a narrative device to explore themes of love and nature of relationships. Please watch the film, it's so bloody good. Do I need to bleep bloody? I'll bleep it just in case. Please don't demonetize me, I need this. Step 6. Connecting to historical or social context. Every single book that you read will have a historical and a social context. Consider the time period that the book or movie is set in or was written in. There are a lot of books written after World War II and during the Cold War that dealt with oppressive regimes, dictatorships, censorship of media, and the like. Why was this? Well, during that period, many Westerners were afraid that the Iron Curtain would move westward, and many authors thus wrote about what they believed would happen if the West were to fall to the USSR. Harper Lee's novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, which isn't in the public domain for some stupid fucking reason, so I can't narrate that for you, I'm really sorry, you're gonna have to read it yourself, but or if someone wants to give me the rights, that would be cool. I'd love to have the rights to that book to make it a thing. I don't want to pay for it though, because I don't have money. I don't have money. I can't buy the rights, but someone should buy them and give them to me so I can make an audiobook. That would be wicked. Anyway, Harper Lee's novel To Kill a Mockingbird was written in the 1950s and was published in 1960. Well, it's no wonder that the novel and excellent film explore themes of racism, prejudice, and loss of childhood innocence. The civil rights movement was in full swing while Harper Lee was writing the novel, and it follows the character Scout, a little girl, as she finally understands what the hell is going on in America at that time. She's forced to see the racism that's in front of her. Step 7. Reflecting and interpreting. Finally, you need to reflect and interpret the themes that you've identified in the media you've just consumed, whether it's a book, a film, a poem, whatever. You need to reflect upon it. Once you have your themes, try to identify what the author or director is trying to convey. What does the director want you to think? Something that will help you in school specifically, and in real life if you just like reading, is to connect the themes to your own experiences, or to wider social issues that you can see in your current life. Interpretations can vary, And just because someone doesn't see what you see doesn't mean that you're wrong, nor, and I cannot express this enough, does it mean that they are wrong. The thing that makes literature and film so interesting is that I can watch the same thing or read the same book as you and have an entirely different experience. Let's take a look at the blue curtain example from earlier. Are the curtains blue because they represent the character's depression? Maybe the author didn't intend it to mean that, but if you can relate to the character better, or the story better because you interpret it that way, then the curtains are blue because they represent the character or the author's depression. It's that simple. If you can justify it, then you've got it. That's your theme. As long as you can justify it well. Some teachers are super picky, but in my opinion, if you can see something, just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And I'll let you interpret that however you want. Dragons, leprechauns, all sorts of mythical beasts. Are they real because you can't see them, or are they not real because they're fictitious? Tell me why the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland then. Just because you've never seen a unicorn doesn't mean they're not real. Anyway, hopefully you now have a better understanding of what themes are and how to better identify them in a book or film. By identifying reoccurring ideas, analysing character development, examining conflicts, analysing the author's style, connecting to historical contexts, and after finding them, reflecting on the themes, you can connect to your favourite book or film in a way that you have never done before. That scene that always makes you cry will mean even more to you after analysing why it touches you so strongly. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please do subscribe as I release a new video each week. See if you can tell me any of the themes in your favourite books and movies in the comments. I'd love to read them, especially if you've got some recommendations of films that I've maybe even seen before and you connect to them in a different way. That would be great. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week with more of your English Essentials.